Alright guys, so real quick, we are going to be running down the top 5 books that I have read over 2023. Starting off, we've got Paper Towns by John Green. This is a type of book that is completely out of my wheelhouse, and it's something that I would not normally read, but I surprisingly liked Paper Towns a lot more than I thought I was going to. I think John Green did a very good job at making the characters relatable as like teenagers trying to find themselves in a world and being disillusioned by the artificialness of the world around you. It was just such a good book, and I really resonated with it a lot more than I thought I was going to, and I can really see why people really enjoy John Green's work, and maybe in the future I'll try some of his other work, but I surprisingly really like Paper Towns a lot more than I thought I was going to. Okay, so taking the number 4 spot is going to be The Son and the Star, the solo Nico D'Angelo book that came out this year. Personally, I love Nico. He is probably one of, if not my favorite, Verse characters. I love his story, the demigod out of time, struggling to find his way. I just love Nico as a character so much. I feel like it was a really good time to give Nico his own book to further his relationship with Will and just generally flesh out a lot of Nico's character. As much exposure as he gets in the regular Percy Jackson series, Lost Heroes of Olympus, he was never really a big central character. He was always like a secondary character. He was still important, but never part of the main group. Not until this book where he finally gets a chance to be his own character and do his own thing. I thoroughly enjoyed this book because it was, again, a really good love letter to Nico and Will's relationship, having Nico develop and face a lot of his trauma that's still left for him to face. So overall, I really enjoyed The Sun Star. Taking the number 3 spot is going to be Christopher Paolini with Fractal Verse. This is the prequel to The Sleep in the Sea of Stars. It is a really good book. It's a really good representation of grief and the process of grieving and how it can make you feel. Christopher Paolini does a really good job at personifying grief as like a massive black hole that keeps sucking you in with the setting of this book. It was just such a good book, and I cannot wait to see what Paolini has planned for the rest of Fractal Verse, because if it's anything like To Sleep in the Sea of Stars and Fractal Noise, I think I'm going to thoroughly love this, and I cannot wait to see what he's got planned for the future. And it sounds like he's got a lot planned, so stay here. I will be covering all of it. Taking the number 2 spot is also Christopher Paolini with his most recent book, Merag. Now, Merag was a book that I've been waiting for a while. I initially thought it was going to be another Aragon-focused book, but to my surprise, no, we got an Mertag standalone book, which honestly I am more happy about. As much as I wanted to see Aragon and what he's been doing, Mertag ended up being so good. And I think this book was so needed because it not only fleshes out Mertag's story, which, again, similar to Nico, Mertag is one of my favorite characters who I think doesn't get enough spotlight. I think he very much deserves it. I am so happy we ended up getting this book because, again, it was a great book for Mertag. It fleshed out a lot of his character, and it gave him a lot of needed character development, as well as set up the big threat for whatever he's got planning going forward. And I will go into more detail about that when I do my full review video for the book, which should be coming out pretty soon. But I really enjoyed Mertag, and I think it was very much well needed, and cannot wait to see what he's got planned for book 6. And taking the number 1 spot, to no one's surprise, is going to be Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. This was probably my most anticipated book. I absolutely loved Lightbringer. I think it was a love note to the Red Rising fandom. It made us hate Lysander more because I ended up making that entire Lysander after Lightbringer video talking about it. But I loved the book. It gave a lot of character development to Darrow. It furthered the story in general, and it set up whatever he's got planned for Red God. Lightbringer is definitely a big setup book, similar to how Iron Gold, and the ending is so shocking and so traumatic. But I am so hyped for Red God, and hopefully we get some sort of release window. We just wrap up the Red Rising series. And to be honest, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this because I've been following Red Rising for so long and it's become one of my favorite series. I don't know what's gonna replace it after we finish with Red God. Those are my top 5 books for 2023. If you guys have your own lists, feel free to leave those down in the comments. Would love to hear what you guys were reading and what you guys enjoyed. And if you guys read any of these books, please feel free to leave your own thoughts on them. Till then, have a great new year, and I will see you guys next time.